This video was brought to you by us, Slidebean. Make beautiful slide presentations in no time. Get 1 free month by signing up at slidebean.com/YouTube. A couple of weeks back, we did a pretty cool webinar on how to build a financial model. So I went through the steps of coming up with a model, going through our template spreadsheet, and actually building the math to predict company revenue and company expenses. Almost 1,000 people signed up, and it was overall a pretty successful session. So we decided to hook that up on YouTube. So this video is our financial model webinar. Also, a shout out to the guys from Sank who sent us a little care package with some t-shirts. Sank is the world's first stable transaction coin. If you want me to wear one of your t-shirts in one of our next videos, check out the link in the description. Off to the webinar. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our financial model webinar. Really excited to have you. It's been a long time since we did a live webinar. Trying it once again, and so far it's pretty good. I see 800 people signed up, over 150 currently online. Hopefully, some of you will join in the next few seconds, minutes. But anyways, great to have you. Hope you find this stuff useful. I have some slides. Of course, I have some slides. So let me start with that. All right. Okay, so some basics on the financial model and some basics on me first. I'm the CEO at Slidebean. If you don't know what Slidebean is, we're a super easy to use presentation platform for startups. I'm one of the founders, and therefore I had to kind of struggle with the fundraising and with the financial model as well as we were starting the company. Most of what I do today is lead the marketing and growth teams. I write scripts for our YouTube videos, which I'm sure some of you have watched, and then fundraising and other stuff, admin stuff, and putting out fires and emergencies and stuff like that. Classic CEO tasks. Like I said, Slidebean, who are we? We have an AI design platform. That's how I know everything that I'm going to try to teach you today. Because this is a company we started about 5 years ago, and I had to kind of learn it the hard way. I don't have a business background, so I literally had to learn as we were moving on with the business. More recently, we also have a design agency branch. So we see a lot of companies that need help with their pitch decks, and we help out with that. And mostly in two ways, and this is kind of like the little plug-in on this webinar. One way is Founders Edition, which is a new plan that we launched this week. What it includes is access to our team. So not only the templates and the product and the self-service, super cool presentation platform, but also access to myself and the rest of our team who can share insights or help you with your financial model. And then another way in which we can help is we have a consulting service where we actually get involved in the writing and design and the creation of the financial model. So that's why we're sort of into spreadsheets these days. If either of these is useful for you, for you guys on the webinar, because you signed up and we love you, we'll send a special care package to everybody that chooses one of the two options. And also, I'll handpick a book for your company. So I'll take a look at your website and figure out which book I can recommend and ship that out to you from Amazon or something. All right, so let's get started. End of the ads. Hopefully some more people joined. Stuff that you'll need. We have a financial model template. You can just Google Slidebean financial model. It's the same document that I'm going to be using. You don't have to download it now, but know that you'll have access to that. And then some basic spreadsheet skills. I'm not going to go into the very basics of how Excel works. I hope you know. Otherwise, find a tutorial. But aside from that, I think we're good to get started. So we'll be building the financial model for a SaaS business. So, taking 2 steps back. So what's a financial model? It's a spreadsheet that you can use to predict company performance and to project company performance. The financial model is not your accounting spreadsheet, though in the early stages of the company, those two are very much connected. Even today, for us, the financial model is not the accounting spreadsheet. That's handled separately by our accountants. It's not the balance sheet. It's not the P&L. But someone in our team takes the P&L, like the final expenses for the month, moves them into the financial model so that every month we can more accurately predict not only how much we're going to spend next month, but also how much revenue we're going to make and what our margins are going to be. So the financial model, our financial model, is very much alive. I use it and check it multiple times a week. When we're hiring someone new, I look into the model, I add a new hire and figure out how that's going to affect our budget. Or when we launch a new product or when we have a new breakthrough in marketing, that goes into the model and that helps us project what's going to happen later. So this spreadsheet gets, I don't want to say complex, but it gets really, really customized as your company moves on, and then it kind of holds all your data, and then you can use that old data to predict. Today, we're going to be building a SaaS financial model for a fictitious company, but we don't have any data. So many of you are probably in early stages. Maybe you don't have any revenue yet. So this is what you would do. You'd have to come up with a few variables and figure out how those variables affect your business performance. Those variables need to be somewhat realistic, but then it's a great way to predict what's going to happen. So I'm going to share my Excel window and we'll get started. Okay. So some basics on this document. I think you can see it. Hope you can. Okay. We're not going to go over every single line and every single detail, but I'm going to go through the highlights, at least on the way we handle this. We have the financial statement annual and financial statement monthly. This is kind of like a summary of everything that's happening in the model. Revenue and expenses and profits or losses, burn rate, all of that lands either on a monthly basis in the FS month sheet or on an annual basis on the FS annual sheet. Then we have revenue. So the revenue spreadsheet is where we're going to calculate all the projections on how much revenue you're going to make. However, revenue for a lot of companies is connected to expenses. If you're an e-commerce platform, for example, every single thing you sell carries a cost because you have to source the original product. So that goes into the costs of goods sold sheet. That's the COGS. So like I said, for an e-commerce store, the t-shirt that you're selling, you're paying $10 for the t-shirt and it's reselling that for $20. Those $10 are your cost of goods sold. And that translates very much directly into your gross margin, which the model can estimate. For a software company, again, what we're going to be estimating here, there's some debate as to what should go in cost of goods sold, but for our book, we have the server cost. So any servers, platforms that are necessary for the platform to work, those go in the cost of goods sold. And we're gonna work a little bit on projecting how those behave. For most companies, this is going to be the most active sheet, the SG&A. So it's general and administrative expenses. So this is where your payroll goes, marketing, growth. We have rent and tech support services and any other platforms that are not directly related to your sales, insurance, other expenses, travel, all of that goes on this sheet. So we're not going to touch this one too much because that, of course, will vary company to company, but we will run some estimates on basic team salaries and so on, at least so you can eventually use it and project on your own. Also not getting too deeply into capital expenditures, into the capital expenditure sheet. This is mostly an accounting thing. The difference with accounting here is that, for example, if you purchase a laptop for your business, that's not really an expense. It is an asset that the business still owns. So it's not something you can write off automatically off tax because it's not necessarily an expense. You have an asset like a car or a machine that your business needs, whatever. So these go here, and then the model automatically calculates how much they depreciate. So a laptop depreciates over 5 years and then it loses all its value. Same with furniture and so on. Again, we're not getting deeply into this, just doing a quick overview. Okay, so all these spreadsheets are mostly automatic. Stuff will be calculated rather automatically. And then the spreadsheets when we're starting a model where we have to do most of the work is on the settings sheet, on the salaries sheet, and on the projection sheet, which is completely empty, and we're going to fill in today. Okay, some basic stuff on settings. We can call a company name. Let's call this one Pied Piper. And then currency, that works for you. Everybody international, you can change the currency here, and then that'll change it for every single field on the sheet. Your income tax rate that's based on your country. There's some stuff in the cap table, but I'm not getting into that. CapEx, like I said, and how long things depreciate. There are some really neat things on the sheet. For example, let me zoom this in a little bit. Some really neat things here. For example, we are automatically estimating that whenever you hire a new employee, you need to buy a new laptop for them. So we have that here. And again, that's automatic. As soon as the employee count goes up, new laptops need to be purchased or new computers where they work. But you can, of course, disable that and just say no here, and you'll be good. Okay. So let's start with some projections here. Okay, so we're coming up with a SaaS financial model, and there are going to be some variables that we're going to need. I'm just going to copy the format from this one. All right, let's zoom this in. Okay, so we're going to have a planned cost. Again, not getting to multiple plans for now. Let's just do one plan. Your average plan cost, and let's say that's going to be 29. Notice how I don't want to use the dollar sign here. I just want to use the number because we already have the USD here. Okay. What else do we want? What other variables does this business have? Okay, we're going to classify these. So this is pricing, and then we're going to have some stuff on conversion. So we're going to have sign up to paid conversion. Let's assume that this business has a trial period. So we're going to project how this conversion works. This is a percentage. And let's assume that that's going to be, I don't know, 5%, which is great conversion rate, by the way. Okay. Then we have, then this is really important, and it's something that I see a lot of businesses not doing. What's going to drive people to sign up to your website? It's going to be ads. It's going to be marketing or sales, right? You're going to have to bring people to your site. They're not just going to come automatically. So what I really love about doing this stuff on a financial model is that you can estimate how much money you're going to spend in marketing, and therefore how many customers that's going to generate. And that goes into the model, not only how much revenue you generate, but the money that you need to spend to generate that revenue, at least on the marketing side. So let's go with marketing here. And we're going to go with two main variables. We're going to go with initial marketing cost. That's going to be, let's say, we're going to start with $1,000 budget a month, early company, 1,000. And then we're going to have a month-over-month marketing increase. And that's going to be, let's say, 10%. Now, be careful with when you do these 10%. Over the first year, that's going to be a very reasonable number. But if you expect that number to hold up all the way through 5 years, that's going to be crazy monthly marketing spend. So, these 10% usually work for shorter periods, maybe 1 year or two. But let's start plugging this in. So these are just numbers that I came up with randomly. I like to put them on this single spreadsheet because it's very easy to come here and just adjust these numbers and then see how they reflect in your performance. But you have to plug them in. So we're going to go into the SG&A. This is the administrative expenses. Marketing goes here. And we have a marketing section here. Marketing growth. We're going to put it here in the direct response campaign. So this is going to be, main ad campaign, let's call it. This could be, you could do this for SEO or whatever, but normally you want to start with ads because they're the fastest way to get people in front of your site. Okay, and we're going to pull the number from here. So that's going to be 1,000 for the first one. Notice how this gets populated automatically. This formula-based, it just copies the value from the previous sheet. But we're telling the model that we're going to be increasing that marketing budget month for month. Oh, by the way, I did this on January 19. We should start on, say, March. March this year is when you launch this product. Okay, and then the following months, we said that we're going to increase that budget by 10%. So the formula is going to be the previous month times our projected 10% plus 1 plus. That should be 11. Whoop. No. God, sorry, my bad. This should be 10%. And then there we go. So that's 10%. That's the previous month plus 10%. Then we need to hold this formula so it always uses the same cell. And then we'll extend that through the end. Cool. So notice how this turned into $200,000 a month in marketing, which is not completely insane, but just be careful. You can't just add 100% month-over-month growth in marketing, because if you do that, you're eventually going to be less efficient at spending that money. So this is just an early prediction of what's going to happen. Now, some basic nomenclature that I use on the model is that any number that's a formula is blue. And that just helps me know what I can touch and change and what I shouldn't. So, if you have somebody else on the team looking at this, they can add other expenses here because this is gray. But blue stuff, this is a formula. So if you want to change the value, you have to come and change it here. So by doing that, we have, it used to be 10%. We could do 0% now, and that should translate to 0 changes. So we're stuck with 1,000. Great. Okay. So we're gonna do 2 steps on conversion. We're gonna do cost per sign up here. Cost per sign up. Again, I'm assuming that this is kind of like a trial financial model, like a trial SaaS product. I'm sorry, like a trial product. Okay, so the cost per sign up, this is of course going to change. It's going to depend on your website, and it's going to depend on a bunch of things. But let's assume that the cost per sign up is, I don't know, $15. It's not insane. We've seen this before. If you're doing AdWords, that's a reasonable price. And then we still have the sign up to paid conversion. Okay, so let's go to the revenue sheet. So this the way I built this is in a way where you can have multiple business models. So each one of these, source revenue 1, source 2, source 3, that could be a completely separate business model. And a lot of business have multiple business models, so you want to kind of separate those into different sections. We're starting with one, which is this SaaS business that we're imagining. So let's start with that. Okay. Let me add some space here, some rows. Great. Okay. So let's remember the first variable that we're going to be basing this on is the marketing spend, right? So the marketing spend is going to give us, I'm just going to add it here for simplicity, but we don't need to add it. Marketing spend, and then that's going to translate into, we're going to have a cost per sign up and a signups. Okay. So the marketing spend, we're going to pull out of where we had it in the SG&A sheet. You could even do the, we're using this main ad campaign here, but we could even do it with the final number. So the sum of all campaigns, assuming that other campaigns come in afterwards. So it's just the same number that we're doing there. We're just pulling it in here. We don't have to. We could just do the formula using the columns, but just for simplicity. Okay, and then the cost per sign up, that's going to be a fixed number that we're pulling out of here in 2 parts, because now we don't know what the cost per sign up is, but eventually we will. So for the projection, we're going to use the number that we're projecting, but eventually we can use real numbers and then have the values be estimated automatically. I'm going to stop for a second, make sure that everybody's listening, and then we haven't seen any crashes here. I'm assuming I see no complaints, so I'm assuming everybody's okay. Okay, it's 1. Okay, so we have marketing spend, we have cost per sign up. Now we're moving into the actual signups that we got. So that's very easy. We're going to divide the marketing spend by our average cost per signup. Sorry. This divided by this. Okay, that's an estimate of 66 signups. There's a decimal here, and then signups can't be decimal because people can't be split. So let's round that. So let's round that to 0 digits, and then we have 67 signups. That's great. Okay, so that's the total number of signup. So that's the monthly number of signups that we got into the platform. Great. Now we have paid users. This, of course, will vary based on all your variables, your conversion to paid. Sorry, conversion to paid. So a bunch of variables that will determine if somebody is willing to convert from sign up to paid. But let's assume that our prediction 5% is accurate. It could be. It's not completely crazy. Yes, and this is a percentage. 5% back to revenue. Okay, 5%. Again, we're pulling that number from what we added, but it is a formula. So we have it blue, so we don't change it. Okay, so we then multiply. That's new. We're going to call this new paid users. New paid users. And that's going to be signups times 5%. 3.4 paid users. We shouldn't have decimals here, so let's round it again. We're going to round to 0 decimals. Okay, it's 3 new paid users this month. And then we have, and then we're going to have to deal with churn here because this is a SaaS business. We'll get into that in a second. So we're going to have total paid users here at the bottom. That's going to be 3 this month, but that's going to grow. So this number should hold the same 5%. 4 paid users in the second month. That's 4, but then this is going to be the previous one plus the new one for a total of 7 paid users. Great. We're going to extend this formula all the way. All right. So now we have total paid users, and then this number is going to be very simple. We're going to multiply. Sorry. We are going to multiply. Sorry. This total paid users times our average plan cost, which is going to be fixed. We're always going to use the same number, and that gives us our monthly revenue. Great. Great. Okay, so that we're predicting that based on this fictitious business, it's going to be making around $200,000 a month in 5 years, which is not that great. But let's keep working on this. Okay, so we're forgetting about churn, and churn is really important. Churn is and it's really bad too for a SaaS business. Projections. Okay, so we're going to add a new category here, and that's going to be churn. So churn for a SaaS business, that is the average number of customers that you lose every month. So out of your total user base, what percentage of customers do you lose? In previous Slidebean history, we've seen churn as high as 15%, which was crazy business breaking, going out of business high. 10% is a reasonable churn for an early stage company, but you're going to have a hard time raising money with 10% churn. 5% churn is nicer depending on the business. If you're a kind of go to direct to consumer business like us, Slidebean, at 5% churn is not crazy. If you're more of an enterprise product, no, you're expected to have churn rates in the 1s and 2%. But let's use 5. Let's use 5. Okay. So what does 5 mean? 5 means that every month we lose 5% of our active user base. So we're going to have that here. So lost users. Lost users is going to be our previous total paid users times our churn. 0.2. We're going to round again because we don't want to break people in half. So we're going to round this number. And that means that in the first month, we're going to lose 0 customers. Now, the total paid users is now going to be the previous month plus the new users we added this month minus the users that we lost due to churn. And then we extend that. Now you're going to see something really interesting happening here, which is that your revenue, because of churn, your revenue is going to eventually stall, or you're going to start growing slower because you're adding customers really fast first, but then if you start losing them, that slows down your growth. Maybe I have a chart here that shows it. Oh no, we're not slowing down growth. This is still exponential. It's exponential because our our marketing budget is growing at 10% exponential. So that's not realistic. Again, the more money you spend in marketing, the less efficient that money becomes. And I don't want to overcomplicate this, but we can project it. Let's assume that your marketing budget is linear. Say you start with 1,000 and you don't increase that budget. What churn is going to cause in your future is that you're going to stall, as you can see. So you're going to grow fast first, but because you have 5% churn, the number of customers that you lose is going to match the number of customers that you bring in every month. And that's going to happen eventually. So here, for example, maybe $1,000 was too little. Let me change this. Let's change this to 5,000, just for the sake of the example. So yeah, we're gonna be adding 17 customers per month. That's great. But notice that as your user base grows, the number of lost users is growing too. And there comes a point where the number of customers that you bring in, 17, is almost the same as the number of customers that you lose every month due to churn. So your chart looks like this. And that's why churn is really bad for SaaS businesses. Little churn, 0% churn would make this chart exponential. Not exponential, linear, but you get it, I hope. Okay, let's stick with what we added at first, 10% month-over-month marketing increase. So this is at the extreme basics, like this is our, this is a projection of company revenue. This, from an investor standpoint, this would be a very slow growing company. If it takes you, 1 year to make $4,000 a month, you're growing really slow. So what affects this and what allows you to grow faster is just pouring more money into marketing. Again, marketing is not the only way to get customers, but you need to assume that it's not going to be magic, right? That you're going to need to spend money to bring new customers. Things that could make this business grow faster would be that your signups get cheaper. For example, instead of investing in ads or Google Ads, which are expensive, let's assume that you spend money in content marketing. We have a bunch of videos about that, and then you can get your cost per signup down. Let's say to $2, which is more or less our cost of acquisition today. $2. So $2 means that you get a bunch more signups per month, which means that you grow a lot faster. So all of these variables, at least in these early stages, have tremendous impact into the performance of the business. Okay, we might have some time to look into kind of like tweaking this SaaS revenue model to make it more realistic, to make it look better. Okay, so we have this very, very basic model in which we see the company growing, generating revenue, but revenue costs money. We have salaries, we have teams, we have server costs. So let's work on estimating some of that. I landed on $5,000 a month in marketing to, make our theoretical business grow a little faster. But here's how to estimate your costs. So we have this section here called key indicators, and I use this section simply as a bridge between spreadsheets to be able to pull in data from one or the other. So a key indicator here would be total paid users in the business. which is this line. That's this line. And then we have, let's call it signups, total signups maybe, trial users. And that's going to be signups this one plus this one. Signups, okay. The reason I'm doing this is I want to estimate or guesstimate how many people are on the platform, because the number of people that you have on the platform is going to have direct impact on your server costs. Now, not all trials are active. I mean, not all signups are active, but paid users certainly should be active. So, sorry, this got copied wrong. Okay. So we're predicting that, say, end of 2020, we're going to do like 6,000 trial users. Okay. So I use this key indicator section to bridge between spreadsheets. So in the cost of goods sold, I also have a key indicator section. And what I'm going to do is pull in that data from the other one. So I can reference it here. It's the same numbers. It's just easier to have them on the same sheet. Paint this all the way. Okay, and I'm gonna, just for the sake of order, I'm gonna turn that green the same color as the revenue sheet so that I know that this is data that comes from the revenue sheet, but this is just my system. Okay, so on web services, let's come up with Amazon Web Services. Let's assume that for every customer that you need to serve, there are costs associated with it. Every sign up requires processing power. I don't know, whatever this fictitious SaaS business is doing, and certainly paid users as well. So we're going to say that the average sign up, the average trial user has a cost of 1 cent, for example. For every customer that signs up, our server costs at 1 cent because database, whatever. That number is impossible to predict. It's going to change very drastically from one business to another, but it's important to estimate. So that's one on web services. You could, and that's why I bridged this here, because I want to base this number on real user data. If I grow faster, and that's where this model starts becoming really cool. If I suddenly invest a ton of money into marketing and grow that really fast, great. It's gonna translate into a lot of revenue, but it's also gonna automatically calculate what the server costs are gonna be. Usually for SaaS businesses, the server cost should be, or the margin over your cost of goods sold should be somewhere between 80-90%, because it's software. But that's how you estimate it. We have a bunch of fields, so you can add different services here. I normally like to separate them, and this is, for example, category 1 would be, I would call this scalable web services, and then category 2 would be maybe flat services. Services where the cost is flat, regardless of how many users you have. So you just come up with a number and put it here. I don't know, let's say, GitHub. GitHub, you need a GitHub account to keep your repositories and whatnot. So, but that doesn't change based on your number of customers. It actually changes based on your number of users, but it's not customer based. So you could say you're gonna pay $20 for that, and it's just gonna be 20 forever. I mean, it might change, but it's not significant. Okay. Another thing you want to estimate here is salaries and other team costs. Okay, so the way this works is it's actually really neat. On the SG&A section, we have two parts. We have the payroll section that has blue numbers, and these are blue because they're formulas, so we don't want to change these. The ones we want to change are these, the headcount section, which gives us the number of people. On one category of employment. So for example, we know that there's probably only going to be one CEO, so we can say there's one CEO here, and you're going to have a CTO as well. One, those are, let's say that these are the co-founders, and then 3 months in, you're going to hire a customer success person. So not a head of customer success, probably like a junior customer success person, just to help out. So the way this works is we just add a number here. One person here starting March, and one person here starting March as well. You could even do that the CEO starts on January. Let's assume that. Okay, so that automatically generates your payroll and salary costs, and that is using the data on this salaries sheet. The reason why we keep these separate is actually very elegant, is so that we can have multiple employees, and then we don't have to, and we can easily project how that works. I'll be back to that in a second. So in here you have the variables, the gray numbers, the numbers that you can change are the annual salary column. I just came up with 36,000 as a benchmark, but that's obviously applicable or non-applicable depending on where you are. Let's assume the CEO is going to make. He's a co-founder. He doesn't get to be paid much, and that's just the truth at the early stages. So let's assume that he'll make 24 a year. Same for the CTO. And then, this junior customer success person is going to be in 20 a year. Example, again, I know that doesn't apply to a bunch of US cities, especially New York, but a reference. Okay, so as you can see, by changing that automatically, I didn't change the CTO, sorry. Here, this is the CTO, like that. Okay, 24, and 20. So that automatically updates the projected salaries for everybody, and that's very beautiful. Now, the reality with businesses is that, at least in my experience, is that you can't necessarily predict when you're going to need extra developers, at least not algorithmically, not mathematically. So you could say, well, I'm going to hire a new junior developer. I'm going to aim at hiring one, I don't know, in October, hopefully. Great. And then I'm going to add another one in February 2020, just one. And then I'm going to need a marketing team as well. So I'm going to hire a senior marketing person in October. So you can just add those, and it's very manual how you input this. Total headcount, as you can see, is shifting and moving up here. But one thing that you can more or less predict in a financial model is the staff that has a direct connection to your revenue or to your active user base. Point in case here is if you have more paid customers, you're going to need more customer support people to be able to serve them. So we can actually put this into the model very easily, and we're going to do it. So we're going to get these same key indicators that we had here. Actually, not the trials, mainly the paid users. And we're going to get that into the SG&A. So again, we're just copying. Whoops, that didn't work. Oh, never mind. Let's get from here. So we're going to do revenue, total paid users. There we go. And again, it's green because so that we know what spreadsheet this comes from. Okay, so that's our paid user base. It's algorithmic. It's estimated based on our marketing spend and our conversion and so on. So it's our predicted total paid users. So we're going to say, for every 500 paid users, we're going to need one extra marketing person. That's a reasonable example. So we're going to go here to the junior customer support person. Let's assume that that's the position that scales with customers. And we're going to say, we're going to take this total paid users divided by 500. And that's it. But that's going to give us 0 at first, and it's going to give us a decimal number, which is not great because if we have 499 customers, we will probably need a customer success person anyways. So the easy way to solve that is just to round up. So we're going to round up this to 0 decimals. There we go. So with this, we can see that if the company has 27,000 paid customers, we're projecting that we're going to need 56 junior customer support people. But since the salary has been unified into this other sheet, this the headcount, the payroll cost of this junior customer support people is populated automatically. So that is in essence what the financial model does. We remember that we mentioned the computers. That's also enabled here. So as you can see, as new on the capital expenditures, as new people get hired, the company needs to assume that they're going to be having to purchase new computers, and that's calculated automatically. So that's the beauty of it. You can just add in a few variables and predict, what's going to happen. We can go to the financial statement monthly sheet here and then see what's going to happen with this business. This business is probably going to burn money at the early stages because you have a CEO and a CTO to maintain. And as you can see here, the net income per month, 4,000 minus 8,000 minus 10,000 minus 16. And that goes all the way down. Oh my God, no, we're not profitable. That's funny. Oh, we're not profitable. Okay. So this is interesting. This business is not becoming profitable. It's generating, exponential revenue, but the cost of generating that revenue is too high. So we're never turning a profit. Let's look into this. It's interesting. So as you can see, revenue is nice here, growing decently. Cost of goods sold is great. You have a 99% gross margin, which is actually too high. But remember, we just estimated a random server costs. It's the SG&A that's killing us. It's probably it's the marketing expense. That's interesting. So what we're realizing here is that the cost of payroll and the cost of marketing is too high. So we're not turning this business into a profit. Our cost of acquisition is too high. We can fix this. I'm actually glad this problem came up. With churn, we can estimate a customer lifetime value, and I'm just going to model that here so we can figure out how to fix it. So customer lifetime value. That's used estimating the average revenue per customer divided by the churn. That's 580. This is a formula. This is just for reference, customer lifetime value. And then cost of acquisition for our customers, that would be in revenue, we can do the new paid customers divided by the marketing spend. Oops. My bad. The other way around. Marketing spend divided by new paid customers. There we go. So we're paying $305 to acquire a customer, and that customer is generating us $580. There's a problem there. Our customers are too expensive, and therefore the margins are too small. You could fix this theoretically fix this by increasing the pricing, because now you have this magical 3 times customer lifetime value versus customer acquisition cost. So that's a solution. We could assume that we have better, that we're more efficient in signing people up, so our signups are cheaper. And then let's keep conversion at that. Maybe this will turn this around. Yeah, it does. Great. Okay, so as you can see, this business. Sorry, here on net income. This is what I'm looking for. Net income. So we're at the very beginning. Through the first year, we're going to lose money. We're going to burn money. But then by August 2021, the business becomes profitable. That means that we're generating $42,000 a month. Reasonable. Spending some money in COGS, spending some money in SG&A. Marketing costs are accurate and more decent now. And then this business is moving into profitability. The model, and this is the last note before I go into questions, the model also has this really neat line here, which is your total capital requirements. So that tells you how much money this business needs to raise. Theoretically, assuming that everything works as we theoretically expected, and some of these estimates are very or optimistic or completely guessed. It says that this business needs to raise $125,000. Why? Because that's the total sum of your ending cash balance, your negative cash balance through all the months where you're not profitable. So that is that by August 2021, that's when you become profitable. You will be negative $125,000. So that's the money that you need to raise. You could raise a little bit more than that, but that's that. When we had the $29 average plant cost, this business was never profitable. So your money that you need to raise just becomes infinite. It's not infinite because the model ends after 5 years, but it's just an obscene number, some millions of dollars or something. Yeah, 1.8. But again, it's bad because it's not turning to profitability, or it's not turning to success. So let's stick with 49. Those are, that's the initial thought. I'm gonna unshare my screen so I can look at the comments, questions that you guys left. But that, in a nutshell, is what you do when you have a financial model. This is, this took me half an hour, so it's not extremely complex or extremely thorough. Stuff that you can do eventually to make it more elegant or more accurate is, for example, estimating if you're going to improve or make if your cost of acquisition is going to be better or worse. For example, it's expected that as you spend more money, your customer acquisition cost goes up. That's normally the theory. For example, you get at other marketing channels. So right now we're assuming that the cost per sign up is 10, and that's based on your $5,000 marketing spend. But you could project a whole new marketing campaign based on maybe social media or events, trade shows, whatnot, that maybe works better, so that you can project that as well. Again, very, very important note, this is just an example. The idea here was just to go with the theory of how this should work. But hopefully you can use this knowledge and these bases to translate this to your own business. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. It's been fun, and hope to see you in a future webinar. We'll come up with some stuff.